Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Scaling Expertise, where we talk to experts who have scaled their business and also have tips and tricks to help you scale yours. So I'm very excited about this week's guest, Liz Wolfe, founder of Liz Wolfe Consulting, among other businesses. And so I'm happy and very excited to get into the details. But before we get started, Liz, would you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely, would love to. My name is Liz Wolfe, and I live in New York City. I've been living here for almost 30 years. I know that only because I got married 27 years ago, and I have my business with my husband. So that's my real accomplishment in life, is having a business with my husband for 27 years while being married and raising a couple of children together. And yeah, so real excited to be on here. Thanks so much.
We spoke a little bit about your bluegrass jams that you hold in New York, which was shocking in and of itself. I never asked you what instrument you play.
Thank you for asking. I'm a singer. But in
Ah,
bluegrass, you also need an instrument. So people don't think of your voice as an instrument. And for a really long time, I played the ukulele, which is definitely not a
uh-huh.
bluegrass instrument, but was a gateway for me. It would talk about scaling, right? It was a
Mhm.
gateway for me. I didn't play anything, stringed instrument.
Right.
Bluegrass is all string. I didn't play anything. Then I started playing the ukulele. And then that helped me to then move into the guitar, which I've now been playing maybe over 3 years now. So the instrument I play is the guitar, but I sing as well.
Fantastic. Recently, I saw a program by Gangsta Grass. I don't know if you ever heard of Gangsta
I know
Grass.
all about gangsta grass.
Okay.
I know
It was
you
a
would
lot of
think.
fun, a lot
Yeah.
of fun. The audience loved it. This was a place where I've seen many a heads just still, like same venue that is near me. This is one where everyone was like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, gangsta grass. If you want to bring worlds together, go see gangsta grass.
All right, we're gonna put that in
Fun.
the show notes. We want everyone to go see Gangsta Grass. Awesome. Well, thank you, Liz. Enough about that. So let's talk about scaling and expertise. Now, first, let's talk about your expertise. Tell us special expertise you have, and how do people know, hey, I need to go talk to Liz? What are they going through when they want to come to you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, almost to a person, when I talk to people for the first time, they say some point during the conversation, they say, I feel stuck. And
Mhm.
I have taken that word to heart because I know, first of all, I have felt stuck in my business many times. And probably anyone listening will say, yes, I either feel stuck now. And what do we feel stuck about? We feel stuck about how to get to the next level. Every time, you might have heard this phrase, new level, new devil. Have you ever heard
Oh,
that?
yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of times people come to me, they're newly starting out in their business. So that's who I mostly coach, are people who they have a business idea, maybe they haven't started yet, or maybe they've been doing it for a year or two, and they're saying, what's the next level for me? How about I want to quit my job and do
Mhm.
this full time? How about I'm ready to hire somebody? How about I'm ready to partner with somebody or make,
Yes.
the big six figures? It's like this mysterious number, six
Yes.
figures in
Yeah.
60 days or whatever it is. Moving people to the next level and helping people to get unstuck so that they can do that.
Fantastic. And how did you come to this? What was your trajectory to get to where you are today?
Well, first of all, I grew up on a sheep farm in Western Pennsylvania. And you might think, what the hell does that have to do with anything? We were very entrepreneurial out of the need for survival, really.
Mhm.
And when I got out of college, I started my first business. And then I said, oh, this is harder than I thought to do it on my own. Now, I'm leaving out tremendous number of details, obviously.
Mhm.
But I always learned how to work very hard on the farm. And I learned a lot about running a business, but I never understood how to make myself financially successful as a business person. And the first business I opened failed. So fast forward quite a few years, I gained some technology skills and I ended up, this is in the 90s when CRM, customer relationship management software, was really just being developed. I mean, when I first started in business, people still had Rolodexes, like those big fat ones where you would go
Mhm.
through, and they were
Yep.
keeping notes on pieces of paper. We would write in our notebooks. So CRM was almost like when they invented penicillin. There was nothing like it before, and it really, really transformed businesses.
Mhm.
And so I got into doing CRM, which was interesting tech wise, brought my husband in, had made him quit his job. So he's still doing that. After a while, I got more or less restless with the tech side of it. I wasn't as interested in it, but what's always interesting to me is what it takes for a business to grow, because a lot of it is mindset, a lot of it is systems, processes, all of which happens with the CRM. But I wanted to expand beyond that and get more to the root of how to help people.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot about mindset shifts as well in making that leap, that it's not just, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the kind of nuts and bolts of it, but also, how often do you come across like it is a mental block that is keeping people from moving forward?
Almost every single time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So my coaching system is clear vision. So you have to know where you're going, right? You don't just get in the car and start driving. You put it into the GPS, clear vision, plus purposeful or strategic action. Okay, now I'm in action. So let's say I said, I'm going to make 5 sales this week. Well, how are you going to make 5 sales? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick up the phone. Remember the phone? You would call people on the phone.
She has a phone, people. If you want to see a phone, watch the
actual-
video.
Got a dial tone in my ear. I wish I could play it for you. Right. So, like, people don't want to talk on the phone anymore. So, let's say the answer is you got to talk on the phone. Let's just say that's the answer. That's the strategic answer. And we come up with that. A lot of coaches stop there because they say it's all about vision and action. And to be honest, it's a very male energetic thing. I'm not saying men only, but it's a male energy, like drive it forward, work hard, be disciplined, get on that phone, push through the rejection, do all that stuff. What I have come to understand about action is it's a great thing when you do an action and you get a result. Obviously, we want the result. But what the greater benefit of it is that you're now faced with the emotional, psychological barriers, the mindset barriers that you're faced with when you pick up the phone and the nervousness you feel. If somebody comes back to me 2 weeks later and says, I didn't do what I said I was going to do, because all my coaching calls end with, so what are you going to work on? The first thing I want to ask is, well, why didn't you do it? And sometimes it's like, I forgot, or turned out I had to take an emergency trip because my aunt was in the hospital or something, right? Cancel. We don't want that to happen to anybody. But very often it's about procrastination.
Yes.
They didn't want to do it. It's resisting. They tried it. It was harder than they thought. It was unpleasant. Why? Because that's your mind going crazy saying, this is too hard. You don't really want to do that. People are going to reject you. This is stupid. I'm launched a big event. It's related to bluegrass, and I'm hoping to get like 150 people together to this hotel in New Jersey, right? And I heard in my head after I started doing it, how dare you? Those were the words, like in a quiet moment, I was like, ooh, who's saying that to me? How dare you? How dare you, you nobody person, dare to make this big splash in the bluegrass world? You can barely play the guitar, right? Those are all the things that are going on in my head. And so you're going to have mindset issues that come up. That's a big benefit of pushing through and doing those things.
Yeah, I have kind of wasted coaching, frankly, by being resistant and not being able to, push through. I've been a lawyer for a very long time. I know what I know. But like publishing, it took forever for me to get talked into starting a podcast, for instance, or to start a newsletter. Those things are very terrifying than just knowing what you know and being a genius in the privacy of your own office, than putting yourself out there. And it is, I never would have thought that I had mindset issues until they became like, wow, I definitely am really resistant to putting myself out there. So yeah, it's a big one for sure.
I always like to say that entrepreneurship is the best personal development workshop that exists on this planet. You can take all the personal development workshops you want, and I have taken them.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that will challenge you every day, every single day.
Absolutely, for sure. So you mentioned your first business and that it wasn't profitable. And one of the things that I've struggled with, and probably a lot of smaller entrepreneurs, is the concept, especially when we start out billing our time, idea of profitability. Like we think about, okay, we need to hit this hourly amount because this is what I made at my jobby job. And this is without thinking about like what the profit is in that number. Like we're just thinking about revenue. We're not thinking about profit at all. How did you, like, sometimes it's clear because you can't pay your bills, but a lot of times we can pay our bills, but we're still not thinking about, is this really a comfortable profit margin on what we're billing and the work that we're doing? Is that something that you come across with your clients?
Yeah, what you're touching on is the idea of value and the difference between let's use pumpkins as an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, pumpkins, 5 cents a pound. You bought a 4 pound one, it was $1.25. I was in BJ's recently. I was like, pumpkins, $10. There was no reference to how many pounds they were. It was just like whatever you want for $10.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so interesting to me to see how the value is I'm able to take something home, carve it with my kids, and that's what you do at Halloween time. I wasn't thinking one of the shifts we need to make is from that hourly, that is to say, price per pound, to the value, which is even if it's $8.95, and I think that's ridiculous because, okay, yeah, obviously I've been buying pumpkins for a long time. It's a shift from thinking what the effort took to create that pumpkin versus what the value is when it's before somebody. This is
That's
one of
right.
the reasons why we underprice ourselves a lot. I'm assuming you've had this experience, and I have had too, which is why would somebody pass up buying something for me for $4.95, let's say, and go ahead and buy something that was $29.95? I'm talking in the thousands here, right? I
Right.
had this happen, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do your dopey, $4.95 program, but I'm going to go over here and buy this one." Why? Because he saw more value in that
That's right.
price, not because
Mm-hmm.
of the value. And then later, I happened to be friends with him, and I said, "Hey, whatever happened with that?" And he said, "Yeah, I didn't really get too much out of it." I was like, "Okay, I guess you could have saved yourself $1,500
You weren't going to
if I
get
got it right and just bought my program instead, and it would have been
it.
better." So I want to bring back to the idea of profit. If we're thinking about it in terms of how hard did I work, this is the way we're raised. This is the factory mentality. How
Mm-hmm.
hard did you work? How many hours did you work? How many hours? How much are you getting paid?
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, is that more than what you had to spend in gas to get there, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or the tolls or whatever it is, versus am I providing a service to somebody that somebody else values? I'm solving a problem for them. They value what I'm offering, and they can connect with the monetary amount being something, quote, worth investing into. And
Right.
so, yeah, I don't really think of revenue so much in profit terms as I do in terms, because money is really just the result of the work that we're doing. That just tells us how well we're doing with
Mm-hmm.
what we say that we want to create.
Okay.
Does that
Mm-hmm.
resonate with
Yeah.
you? Is that
Yeah.
answering your
Mhm.
question?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and there's two sides of it. I mean, one is obviously the value side of raising our rate, so to speak. So we are communicating the value to our customers so that they will pay us more because they see more value in it, right? And on the other end of that, we also have kind of the cost when we looked at the resources, the gas and the tolls and things. But for those of us who are experts, when we think about the resources, typically that is our time. It's human, we're knowledge workers. Looking at how to streamline what we do, get better at delivery, better at sales, using less expensive resources. Are these things that you help your clients do?
Yeah, we want to look at everything that you're doing, and we want to see how is it contributing to the success of your business.
Yeah.
Another example, CRM. I can always use CRM as an example because I have so much experience with it. I joined one of those $10,000 programs, and they had a collaboration with that. It used to be called Infusionsoft. I'm not sure what it's called these days, but
I remember.
it's like a major marketing program.
Yeah.
And so here we all are. We already spent $10,000. And then he comes in and says, "Well, just for another 200 and something bucks a month, look at all the stuff it can do for you. It can text your clients to confirm them. It can put them into this drip sequence that, depending on what they choose, they takes them down a different way." And it was all these things. And a bunch of people signed up for that. And by the way, I have nothing against the software. I thought the software was great. I guess I never used it. What I noticed though was that there was this big promise for how this thing was going to grow their business. And actually, people then ended up getting into these contracts with spending $250. but they weren't in a place in their business that they could
Yes.
actually use the tool.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many things before that they needed to get to. And again, I'm sure that that software, which is named something different these days, I'm absolutely sure that many people use it very, very successfully. It's just that that's because that's where their business is. So we want to be matching our spend and our investments in programs that are where we are in our business. The same is true the other way. A lot of people will not outsource. They won't hire a VA. They won't get that help that they need. They'll sit there on Instagram and struggle through it. And they won't do that extra extension because they're trying to be conservative. I remember reading somewhere along the line an example of a woman that owned a coffee shop. And she thought, if I hire somebody, I'm going to have to pay them. And, at that time, it was probably like $15 an hour or something, $10 an hour. And she's doing the calculation. But what was happening is people were looking in the window and seeing there were 10 people in line and not coming in the store. So she hired somebody. And so she was able of even at first, but then it grew from the fact that she had the ability to get more people, sell more coffee. So we want to really be looking to balance that and see what's really going to help me versus where am I outstretching myself or not taking on enough.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say that we are the most expensive resource in our business. By that, I mean our founder, owner. And when we can carve out some or all of what we're doing to a less expensive resource to continue to provide value to our clients and continue to get the same revenue, our costs are going down. And that is an important part of scaling as well. And it's not just about the things that we typically think about, but it is making our businesses run more efficiently and less expensively as well. So thank you for sharing that. So what's coming up new in your business? Anything new and exciting happening?
There's always
bluegrass?
Yeah.
I know there's a big bluegrass event happening.
Jam Jersey. That's
Jam Jersey.
Jam Jersey, I'm calling it. It's going to be in a hotel in New Jersey. Yes, I'm currently launching and doing Facebook ads for my quiz, for my CEO entrepreneur style, leadership style quiz, which is actually an excellent resource. Number one, it helps you identify what your leadership style is, because going back to the mindset for a moment, sometimes we think I should be fill in the blank. I should be more spontaneous, or I should be less spontaneous, or I should be less of a perfectionist or whatever. So understanding what your style is will help you to see what parts of your skill sets you need to develop and what parts you should leverage as skills. So not only do you get to find that answer out, it's a fun short quiz, but then I provide a lot of resources for you to help you to understand in terms of your leadership style, how it can help you in your business.
Fantastic. So that's on Facebook. So is Facebook your primary? Is that where you show up the most, or where your clients come from? Or
great question. Well, the quiz is on my website, which is lizwolfecoaching.com/quiz. That's Wolf with an E, by the way. Oh, don't forget, I grew up on a sheep farm. Last name Wolf.
Interesting.
Wolf's the name, sheep's the game. That was a t-shirt. So it's Liz Wolfe with an E coaching.com/quiz, or just go on the quiz. I have a pop-up. Is that where I show up the most? Yes and no. Facebook ads are relatively new to me. I've tried them before, and I think this is a really good example of new level, new devil. Why didn't I get 10,000 clicks last week? Or whatever my story is, I don't know anything. So that is where for sure that I can be found. And but find me on my website.
And are you doing the ad yourself, or did you hire someone to help you with that?
I'm doing it myself, having taken good old courses. I took a course, took a short course, and I have some help internally. I do have a marketing professional in my office who has done Facebook ads. So we're learning together, and I'm working with some professionals, but probably, I'm not spending like $500 a month to hire somebody to run the ads for me.
Right.
I want to get to know it a little bit first, and then I'm going to see where I can get to go that outsource.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about that, because if you do hire someone, one, you got to pay for their time or however they're spending, and then you got to pay for the ads.
That's right.
So that could be a big number. I've looked at those sometimes. I'm like, oh, no.
Now, so we talk about profit. I know we're nearing the end of our time together, but you talk about profit. So I'm okay to spend, let's just name a number, $1,500 a month. That's a big number. And some people would say that's nothing. But let's just say starting out, I'm okay to spend $1,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm getting
Right.
$3,000 a month or
Yes.
$5,000 a month. So
Mm-hmm.
remember, it's not really so much what we're spending. Now, if I'm spending $1,500 a month and I'm not getting anything, then that's not worth it. But it's got to pay for itself.
Yes.
And that's why in the beginning, I'm like, and I just want to see how this works. The more I understand it going into it, the more that I'll be successful when I hire someone else.
Yeah, I will say I'm quite honestly, because I have invested money in marketers a number of times because I do believe in experts. And I'm now at the point I'm between them right now. And I'm like, I can't find someone who will work for upside. Like, this is where we are. And you get paid based on performance and success. I'm kind of like looking for it. So I'll put that out into the universe that I'm looking for someone who will work. Commission isn't really the right word, but based on performance. Because I really just like paying someone just a fee to provide a service without knowing whether or not it's going to work is just a tough one for me. So
yeah, you're touching on something that I think is very challenging because obviously marketing works. At the same time that probably we all have stories of marketers or programs that we've bought or things that didn't work that well, or we spent a lot of money for my husband getting his website up, and it was all about long form blogs and all that stuff. And back to the phone. We're on the phone call.
Yeah, I hear you. I will say, I don't know how I've done that. How many times I've had a consult with people who've never been to my website. I mean, it's easily 90%, easily, because they're from referrals.
By the way, I want to make sure that everybody listening knows this, because I think this is one thing that's very frustrating. Everybody has an answer. Anybody you talk to has their answer. Is it the right answer for you? And if you hate being on Facebook or social media, or you spend all your time on it, or if you love networking events, or you could join a BNI, or you hate that because you have to show up, etc. Like, you got to find what works for you. And so there is no answer. They always make it sound like there's an answer.
Yes.
Always going to make you sound like there's an answer. And the way my coaching works is more to help you find what your answer is so that we can see what you can leverage to make your business more successful.
Excellent. Well, that you answered my last question, which would be one tip for everyone who is listening. And that is excellent point to end on. Agree 100%. I have actually had to take a pause from listening to everyone because everyone had good, I mean, they're all good ideas, frankly. They know, but it's, you gotta just, dig in at some point. So thank you so much, Liz. This has been fantastic. We will make sure we have your website in the show notes. I'm not sure where this is coming out. So the Blue Glass Dream probably will have passed by the time, but it's been a pleasure having you. And thank you again for joining us. I know that the audience got a lot out of today's conversation.
Thank you so much.